All right. Hello, everyone. Morgan Heitzma here with Scott Leroy Marketing. And today we're going to be talking about Docusign 101. So within this class here today, there is a part 1 and part 2. Within Docusign 101, this is going to be our class on how to kind of get set up with our Docusign, where to find it within our KW command system, as well as how to start utilizing it within our opportunities. So we'll go through all the different steps to get you all equipped with your Docusign here today. There's also going to be a Docusign 201 class here in the near future. And the Docusign 201 class is going to be more for all those additional tips and tricks and how to kind of create templates and things like that. So as we are taking a look here, we are on the KW command homepage. We also have the chat box down below. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to use this chat box through our training here today. And I should be able to kind of stop and help address any questions you guys may have. If I don't get to all of the questions, just know that I'll spend a few minutes at the end of class here today to kind of help answer the rest of those. And if I by chance miss any questions here today, please feel free to reach out to us at support@scottleroymarketing.com. I'm going to put the email in the chat box down below for you guys, so you guys have that. Again, if you send your messages or your questions over via that email, we'll be on the other end here answering those questions for you as well. So as we're taking a look here, we are on the KW command login page. So it's going to be agent.kw.com. And when we sign in here, we typically like to use the Google Chrome browser or the Firefox browser. As we've seen, these work the best or are the most compatible with the KW command platform. So if you're using Microsoft Edge or Safari, Internet Explorer, those types of browsers, you may run into an issue where a pop-up may not load for you, or you may get a page that just gives you that forever spinning wheel. So we first like to say that Google Chrome browser is going to be the best to use, along with the Firefox if you are using a Mac product. We're going to go ahead and sign in here using our KW username and password, which is typically the first letter of your first name followed by your last name. If it's a pretty common combination, you may have a number associated at the end here. So for today's class, we're going to use Scott's login here. So we'll go ahead and sign in. And once we sign in, it takes us to our KW command homepage right here. So this is the homepage. Before we actually jump over to our opportunities, and that's going to be housed within our left-hand side right here. If we click on the red KW square and make our way down, our opportunities are going to be housed right here. And this is where we typically go to navigate or enter our Docusign rooms. So again, this is where we're primarily going to be. But first, we want to make sure that we have all of our systems set up correctly. So when we do go and create opportunities, there's nothing kind of holding us back or giving us roadblocks. So first and foremost, on the home page here, what we're going to want to do is go ahead and click on your name on the top right-hand corner here. And once we give this a click here, it should give us a drop-down. And we're going to actually look for the settings section right here. And once we give this a click, it may take a moment to load up to the next page, but this next page right here should be our settings page. And within our settings page, there's going to be a number of different applications that we can connect, and one of which is going to be our Docusign. So we're going to let this load over here for another moment. And as we enter our settings page right here, again, if it takes a moment to load up for you as well, I believe this is a platform-wide kind of slow load right here. So let me see. I'm going to just try and duplicate this tab right here to see if it'll pop open a little bit quicker. There we go. Now, once we're inside of our settings page here, typically if we think about the way that settings work, like within our phone or within any other platform, this left-hand side, this skinny little section right here, this is going to be where our actual settings are. So here's like our contact settings, here's our reporting settings and things like that. But on the right-hand side, these are going to be all of the outside applications that you are currently already utilizing that you can connect with your KW command system. So as we look through here, you have your Facebook, you have Twitter, you have Google Calendar, you have all these different outside platforms that you can connect. One of these squares are going to be a little bit different than the rest. So the rest, you just kind of, if you have Office 365, we will just click, it'll give us a pop-up, and then we can sign into Office 365. The one that's going to be a little bit different is going to be this Docusign one right here. This is how you actually start to register for your KW branded Docusign account. Now, keep in mind that this is the only way that you will have a compatible Docusign account that is going to be able to be utilized within your opportunities, okay? If we go to Docusign.com and create an account, it unfortunately won't have the tools on the back end to connect to our opportunities and create Docusign rooms. So, long story short, if you already have a paid or a personal Docusign account, unfortunately, that will be incompatible to be connected here with our KW command. So you'll see that I have a Docusign that's already connected right here. I'm going to go ahead and just disconnect this. I'm going to pretend like this is our very first time going through the connection process. And you saw when I disconnected it, it moved away from our section called Connected Apps right here. So our Connected Apps, this is basically a section to let you know all the different apps that are currently connected with your KW command. If we scroll down right here, you'll have other sections. You'll have a social section, a productivity section, a number of different sections depending on what kind of connections are available to you. One of which is going to be this digital signature and transactions. And this is going to be where your Docusign is housed initially. So when we go ahead and give this connect account button a click right here, it'll pop up a preferred first name, preferred last name, as well as a preferred email. First thing to note, right, is if you don't see this pop up, we would suggest maybe trying a different web browser. Or we can go ahead and click on the three dots on the top right if you're inside of Google Chrome and choose the new incognito window. If we enter an email address and you get an error down below saying that there's already an account registered with this email, chances are that email is floating around connected to a personal Docusign account. So if you used Docusign once 3 years ago just to sign something really quick and you had to use this email address, it may still be connected to that personal Docusign account. So we have to use one that is not used up by any Docusign account right here. And again, once we go ahead and put our first name, last name, and email in right here, we can send a registration email. So again, taking a look at this pop-up right here, this is really only going to be about 50% of our initial setup to register. We'll also need to create a password and a security question. And that's going to be in your next prompt in the form of that Docusign email. So once you send that registration email through, Docusign will say, click here to finish your setup. Once you finish your setup and create a password and security question, it's always best to just come back here and make sure that your connect button, that everything is fully connected, so you can go ahead and utilize that in your opportunity. Now, since I already have a Docusign account connected right here, so for those of you who already have a KW command Docusign account, but somehow it got disconnected and we need to just get it reconnected to your KW command, what we can do here is we can bypass this send registration email and we can choose just the login here button. So when we click login here, I can go ahead and I can type in my email address that I signed up with. And then once I click login to Docusign, it should give me a pop-up to enter my password and then finalize that connection. Since I just disconnected my Docusign account, it may have a little bit of caching cookies, a little bit of data saved from that initial connection, so it may bypass that pop-up. So let's see if we can get that pop-up to show right here. So this is that pop-up that I was talking about, and perfect. So this is what it kind of looks like, your next step to get your DocuSign connected. Once you go through that email with DocuSign and create that password, we'll just simply place that password in here. We'll click login, and it should connect full circle here. There you go. This disappeared, but again, we'll be able to find it up top here with our connected apps. And again, it says that we are fully connected. Again, if you are ever wondering what your KW branded DocuSign account is, it shows you a little indication right down below once it's connected, which email it's connected to. So now that we have our KW DocuSign connected to our command here, we can go ahead and click on that red KW square in the top left-hand corner, and we can go ahead and make our way down to our opportunities. Now, before we actually create an opportunity, though, we actually will need to have a contact first within our database. So again, this will really depend on where you're at within your transaction. If you already have this, if you're halfway through this transaction, you have yet to enter this contact into your database, we would suggest doing that first. So again, making our way to contacts right here. Oops. There we go. Making our way to contacts right here, we can simply click on add contact on the top right-hand corner here, and we can simply enter our contact's information. So again, type in Morgan here. And I'll just leave a little bit of basic information so when we go and create our opportunity, we'll have an individual to create one with. So I'm going to click on create right here. And once I click on create, let's see here, let's smart view all contacts. So then here's all of our contacts. We can view myself right here. And again, if I'm looking to enter information or enter a opportunity, I have the opportunity to do that in two different locations. I can do that within my contacts here, or I can do that within the actual opportunities page. So I'm going to show you how to do both. Once you actually have this contact created right here, on the right-hand side, you'll have your timeline, opportunities, smart plans, task notes, and saved searches. Your opportunities right here is going to be a section where you can see all of the opportunities that this one contact is associated with. Since we just created this contact, we don't have any opportunities just yet. However, we can do one of two things. We can create an opportunity straight within this contacts profile here, or we can create one in that opportunity. Creating an opportunity within our contacts profile should automatically draw that contact's client name right here for you based off of what the name says. Now, as we take a look at our opportunity here, we'll first need to select a market center. If you belong to a team or not, you'll be able to kind of adjust that accordingly here. And then our opportunity type. Is this going to be a listing or is this going to be a buyer here? Well, I'll go ahead and create one for both. So let me create a listing here first. And it'll be in the cultivate side right here. So once I go ahead and create that, you'll see that my listing opportunity shows up on the right-hand side right here. We'll do the same for a buyer. Opportunity type is going to be a buyer here, and my commission percent. Now, if I went a little quick on creating this opportunity here for you, just keep in mind we have a full opportunities class as well as previous recordings as well. So again, if you're interested in learning a little bit more in depth on creating opportunities, there are resources for you. Just please reach out to us. We will be happy to send that over to you. So I'm going to hit create right here again. And as you see, we have a listing and a buyer right here. So now we have two opportunities for this contact that we just created. And again, if we navigate over to our opportunities page, we should be able to see those reflect accordingly. So within Cultivate right here, if I scroll down, you'll see that listing that we created. And within our buyers here, you should see that buyer. Now, again, you can do the same exact thing within the opportunity page itself by clicking Create Opportunity. This will be right here. Since we're inside the buyer timeline, it'll automatically pop up with buyer. But again, you can go ahead and adjust it accordingly. Now, now that we have a couple opportunities, whether it be a listing or a buyer, the method is still essentially the same. So inside of this buyer opportunity right here, if I were to click on the title, it should enter me into this opportunity here. And if I were to click on documents right here, this will be where I go to enter my documents. Now, we have to pick a checklist type, so we're going to choose residential for today's demonstration. You have a consultation, under contract, and closed, and you also have the ability to drag and drop and browse PDFs to pull into here to get approved to your market center. Now, if you want to utilize the Docusign portion, this will come in the form of this Start a Transaction button right here, right next to Submit to Market Center. When we click on Start a Transaction, it will give us a pop-up tab to sign into Docusign. And once we sign into Docusign, it'll connect this opportunity with a Docusign Room. And it'll also change this button from a dark gray button to a white button with blue text, similar to what you see up top here. This is an indication that this opportunity is connected to a Docusign Room. A gray button means that it's not quite connected to a room just yet. So taking a look right here, one last thing to keep in mind, you will only see this Start a Transaction button if we have successfully connected our Docusign within our settings, okay? If you're not seeing this Start a Transaction button, you may need to revisit the settings page and just reconnect that to Docusign. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start a Transaction. But again, full disclosure, since we just recently connected it within our settings, it may not ask us to sign in on this next page. But again, if it's been a day or two, or if I haven't really signed in or out of Docusign, I just jump in here, it may ask me to sign in first. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to click Start a Transaction right here. It gave me that new pop-up. And as you see right here, it created a Docusign Room for this opportunity right here. So as we see, this opportunity is titled Morgan Buyer. And if we go over to the Documents section, the Docusign Room, it says Morgan Buyer right here. So it took all the information that was currently within this opportunity. So anything within the details. So it takes this information and it places it here inside of this Docusign Room. You can easily identify that by clicking on the Details tab right over here, by seeing the name. Opportunity name is Morgan Buyer. We put it on the buy side. This is the market center that we selected for the opportunity. As we scroll down here a little bit more, on the right-hand side, you have seller 1, seller 2, and all this information. So I scroll down a little bit more, you'll have your buyer, which is me, right? Because we just created that as a contact. And then the seller right here is going to, the buyer's agent is going to be Scott, because we're on his KW Command account. So it should have all this information. It should pull that in from the opportunity for you. And again, if I'm going a little quick on this Details tab, just know that when we go inside of our Docusign 201 class, within that training, we'll go ahead and dive into this a little bit more, okay? So making our way back to the Documents tab right here, I would say that this would technically be like our main section within our Docusign Rooms right here. This is kind of like our home page. Within our Docusign Room right here, there's going to be a couple things that we want to address, and one of which is going to be this blue Add button on the right-hand side right here. If we click on this blue Add button, this is going to be where we can add documents from our computer or documents from our Google Drive, Dropbox, Zip forms, even our Docusign forms, which we'll get to here in a minute. This gives you the opportunity to pull these into your Docusign Room. You can fill them out if they're a form, and then you can send them off to get signatures. And what will happen is your clients will sign these forms, right? Once the forms have been signed and completed, it'll come back here into your Docusign room. And then within your opportunity, all you have to do is, as you see, we have that white button again. As you see, we have our room docs that we can just simply pull forms in based off of our Docusign room. So it's pretty cool to be able to kind of have that. Once they're signed, sealed, and delivered back over here to your Docusign room, you just simply have to click on that drop down. So I pulled one form in right here from my computer. I'm going to pull another form in, and this is going to be from our Docusign forms. I'll click on this blue add button again right here. I'm going to click on Docusign forms. And as we see right here, we have Market Center folders and we have your Realtor board forms. So depending on what it is that you're looking for, you should have these available to you. So I'm just going to put, I'm just going to pull one form into my Docusign room right here. And the first thing that we notice off the bat is that one's going to be in red and one is going to be in blue right here. Your blue forms, again, these are what we're able to kind of click. It'll pull in any information from your details tab right here, like your buyer info, your seller info. As you see right here, just pulled in my buyer info. But it allows me to pre-populate all this information right here straight on this page right here. So I can save and close. And once I'm done filling this information out, I can click on this checkbox and then it'll open up a menu option right here for me to create an envelope. And once we go ahead and create an envelope, this is a new update that Docusign has created. It gives us the opportunity to pull in our buyer 1, buyer 2, seller 1, seller 2. Since I only have one buyer, I can go ahead and add that if I'd like. But if I just want to stick to kind of like the original before the update happened, I can leave all of these unchecked. I can click continue right here. Just lets me know, am I sure I didn't select anyone? I'll say that's perfectly fine. I'll continue. And once it brings me over to this next page over here, this next page is going to be us creating that email, or what Docusign calls an envelope, to send these forms to your clients. So the first and foremost top section right here is going to be our forms, all the forms that we've selected to pull into this envelope right here. If I wanted to select more forms, I can go ahead and choose this upload button right here, and I can choose browse from my computer, or if I have more forms that I forgot to add from my Docusign room, I can click add room documents, and I can go ahead and select that second PDF that we have right here. So now we have both of these forms right here. If I scroll down, you'll have add recipients. Now, again, full disclosure, on that previous page, when I didn't select any checkboxes and when I just selected continue, if I were to have selected buyer 1, since I'm listed as the buyer right here, it would pre-populate that information on this section here for us. Since I didn't select anything, it just gave me a blank slate, which was typically the version before they had that recent update. Now, the second update that they've recently done is actually within this recipients block right here itself. And this is really cool because if we think about how Docusign was set up previously, if we would have to enter our name and we'd have to enter an email address. Well, they updated this on the back end where if we start typing in a name, so for example, if I type in Scott, it'll search and it'll pull in all of the information on all the different Scotts that I have within my database right here. So, so not only that, but it pulls in the email address as well. So let me be a little bit more granular. So I type in Scott Leroy, it pulls up some Scott Leroy's right here. And let's click on that. And then it automatically pulls in the support@scottleroymarketing.com email. So we don't have to kind of spend that extra time manually entering that information. So pretty cool to be able to kind of see that pre-populate in real time. If we have multiple signers, we can simply add another recipient. And again, for example, if I wanted to add the buyer, so we have the buyer and the buyer's agent right here, we can add that accordingly. Once you add multiple signers to a document, each signer will have their own individual color. And these will reflect on the next page as we're starting to apply tools to these documents. One last thing that I think is pretty important is going to be your signing order. So you have a checkbox up top here that says set signing order. If we click on this right here, it'll show you signer number 1 and signer number 2 right here. Now we can move and adjust these, but just keep in mind, when we deal with technology, sometimes technology is not always 100%. And so when I moved that up right there, it accidentally deleted my number 2 and it gave me 2 number 1 signers right here. So we'll just want to go ahead and adjust that accordingly. If it ends up slipping and not giving you those correct numbers right here, whoever signer number 1 is will be on top, signer number 2 will be on bottom, and it will carry on, so on and so forth. So I'm actually going to put myself up here as signer number 1. Let's see right here. Okay, let's see if we can adjust this right here to signer number 2 and see. There we go. When I adjusted Scott as signer number 2, it pulled him back down right here. But when I kept on trying to adjust myself as number 1 or drag up, it would just snap it back down. So we may need to set these signing orders manually. So buyer's going to be signer number 1. Buyer agent's going to be signer number 2. We also have these options on the right-hand side. If your clients need to sign, it'll automatically pre-populate right here with this person needs to sign. But if they need to do other sort of actions like just receive a copy, just view, we can give this a click right here, and it'll give us a number of different options depending on what it is that we're looking for. Now, as we are taking a look right here, I think it would be perfectly fine to have signer number 1 and signer number 2. You also have our customize right here with, again, sending these as emails if you want to add a little bit of a private access code, or if you want to add a note right here, you have the ability to do so as well. Does it affect anything if they are both signer 1? Again, dealing with technology and the updates on the back end, right? It's hard to say for sure if it would proceed accordingly. If multiple individuals were labeled as signer 1, aka it's strongly encouraged to label each one of these as individual numbers here. As we scroll down here a little bit more, we have our add message. Now, as we take a look, yep, Crystal, that's another great question. When you put this in order, signer 1 needs to sign first before signer 2 can get it. So treat it kind of like a timeline order. If signer 2 needs to be the one that signs before signer 1, we would just, again, swap these numbers accordingly. As we take a look and see if you guys have any envelopes that are stuck in signing, we would strongly encourage taking a look at that timeline and seeing what may be stuck. I'm going to keep this the way that it is right here. I'm just going to add a 2 right here just so this doesn't go to our support team. And as I scroll down right here, adding this message, this is typically going to be like your email subject line as well as a little message. So if you want to add a little bit of extra context, or like a date or something, looking to have this signed by next Tuesday, you have this ability to kind of add this right here. But again, DocuSign is going to have like a button for your clients to click on for them to jump in and sign these as well. So it's not required, but again, it's optional for you if you need it. Now, as we take a look over here, there's a send button, a next button on the bottom right-hand corner here. It's in orange, and I believe there's, yep. And if we click this right here, it brings us over to the next page. And the next page jumps us into our 2 forms, our 2 documents that we've actually added to this envelope right here. now that we have these forms and we have all of the information added on our document right here, we can go ahead and apply these specific tools for our clients to sign, click, check on, and so on. Now, the way that this page looks right here is the left-hand side is going to be all of the different tools that you can apply to the document. The right-hand side is going to open up options for each one of these tools. So, for example, if I were to click over and drag over a signature block, on the right-hand side right here, you'll see all of the different options that pertain to this signature block right here. Another thing to keep in mind is some of these may have dots around the square, which allow us to kind of shrink and expand these signature or these tools if we need them. So if you have a little bit smaller section, we can go ahead and shrink this down if we need to for them to fit their signature. Now on the right-hand side, taking a look at these options again, is this going to be a required field or is this going to be an optional field? So you can go ahead and select this or deselect this checkbox right here, and this will allow this tool to become optional or required. The required is going to be in color. The optional is going to be almost kind of like faded out in white right here. So another option that we have over here is going to be a checkbox, right? So you have a checkbox right here. Is this going to be for Morgan to sign as the buyer, or is this going to be something to select for a different signer? We have that option again on the right-hand side right here by clicking on a recipient. If we click on recipient, it should see all the different signers or all the different people who are associated with this document right here. So if I want Scott to be the one to select or not select this checkbox, we'll go ahead and adjust that accordingly, and you'll see that it'll turn blue. If you want to get rid of any objects or tools right here, we can go ahead and give this object a click, and I'll just simply hit the backspace on my keyboard, and it got rid of the object. Another cool thing to keep in mind is if you have a lot of sections right here that require the same sort of a tool, like for example, if I have a text box right here, if I wanted to add a little bit of context or a few different options for context, I can right click on this object, I can copy, and I can right click, and I can paste. Now you actually have two options for a paste, which are pretty cool. You have the standard paste, which again just slants it down above your object. But again, wherever my cursor is, if I were to right click right here and paste to location, it'll actually paste it wherever my cursor was when I right clicked on the page. So again, this is really cool because, let me shrink this up for a second. I'll copy this, and then I can right click on this title bar and I can paste to location, and then again, I won't have to drag from all the way down below or just it'll just be there for us. So again, I'm going to go ahead and delete some of these right here. As we scroll down right here, we have a buyer's signature, a seller's signature. So again, this would be great to use as an example for signing. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one right here, and this text box is going to be an optional text box here for us. There we go. Now, taking a look at buyer's and seller's signature, again, I'll drag the buyer's signature over here. We'll pretend Scott is the seller. So we'll go ahead and toggle Scott's toolbar. And again, you can see this adjust accordingly on the left and the right-hand side. So if I were to move over to Scott right here, all of these objects are going to turn blue with Scott as the person doing the action. On the right-hand side right here, it's whatever I select. So whatever I select on the right-hand side, I can adjust this specific tool. So you have a couple different alternatives. So I'm going to add Scott's signature right here as the seller. Date and timestamp right here. We'll go ahead and drag Scott's date signed. we'll go ahead and toggle back to Morgan, and then we'll add Morgan's date signed right here too. So taking a look right here, there's going to be a number of other tools and resources for us. If you guys are interested in any of those, please throw them out at the end of class here today. I should be able to kind of dive a little bit deeper into any one of these here. But again, the most important option is going to be the signatures, the dates, being able to toggle back between different signers right here. And as well as the tools on the right-hand side, depending on your object. One last thing that I may want to show you is going to be a drop-down. This drop-down is pretty cool because, again, dragging this over right here, you have a number of different tools right here, which at a glance can be a little bit confusing. But again, giving this a look over here on the right-hand side, we have this thing called options. And within our drop-down, our default option is going to be select, so it's going to indicate us select an option here. But if we click on add option, we can do option number 1, we can do option number 2, and we can also do option number 3 right here. And if we go ahead and double click this drop down, it'll give us a real-time view of what your clients are going to be seeing within this drop down right here. So again, pretty cool to be able to kind of adjust that the way that you want. Is this, again, going to be a required field or is it going to be optional? So yeah, so you have your signature. We had a question come in, a signature and initials, right? So you have your signature on the top right hand corner here. This is what your signature is typically going to look like. As far as initial goes, initial is going to be found right below your signature. So if we go over here, it's going to look a little similar, but it's going to be a little bit smaller in a portrait kind of view, and it's going to say initial as opposed to sign right here. So, but you do have the option for a sign and an initial. All right, I just added this extra one in here for that second document, so we're not really going to place anything on top of that. But taking a look at this right here, we have a couple pieces of context. We're going to go ahead and send this through right here. And again, at this point, we can do a few different options. We can send this right here, right now. If you want to kind of save this and come back and work on it before sending it out to your clients, on the top right-hand corner here, we can click on Actions, and we can save and close. One last thing is, if you want to see what this looks like from the client's point of view, we can click on Preview on the top right-hand corner right here. And this should bring us a client's point of view. You actually get the option to view any client's point of view who's on this document right here. And you can toggle this on the top left-hand corner right here. So do I want to see this as Morgan signing right here? Or do I want to see this as Scott signing right here? So again, and it'll take you through that real motion of what it looks like for your clients to sign this. Not only that, is depending on if they are using a computer, tablet, or a mobile device, you have the ability to kind of see what that looks like on those devices as well. So again, everything looks pretty good for us right here. Also keep in mind, when your clients sign these documents right here, they'll have the ability to download the signed document that they signed. If there's multiple parties, they'll be able to download the document, but once all parties have signed, everyone should receive a copy of that signed document. So going back over here, I'm going to go ahead and click on Send right here. And what this will say is your envelope has been successfully sent. And again, just taking a look at it, pushed us back over to our Docusign Rooms. And again, just to kind of reorient ourselves, I'm going to click back on this Documents tab right here. And again, this is back to our kind of Documents home page for our Docusign Room. Now again, just making our way over two different tabs. We have our Envelopes tab, And this is going to be where all of your envelopes are when it comes time to kind of view and see who's still signing. Now, if you're wondering, who is this envelope waiting on? We can go ahead and click on this envelope right here, and it should tell you in this timeline order who this is currently waiting on. So right now it's currently waiting on Morgan right here. One other cool thing that's pretty important is, say I accidentally messed up Morgan's email address. I placed it in here incorrectly. Everybody else is waiting on Morgan. However, Morgan just never received the Docusign document. We can actually click on correct right here in the center. And this brings us back over to our Docusign envelope to allow us to be able to kind of adjust this. So if I wanted to adjust that, I can go ahead and hit next on the bottom right here. And then I can click on correct because I'm not going to change anything. I just need to change the email address. And once I click on correct right here, it'll actually push it back over and it'll say that it was corrected. So now it resent out, and it resent out on a different email address. So this allows us to be able to correct our envelopes. If you're wondering if an envelope is corrected, right, it will have to initially go back to signer number 1 again, because if we're thinking about this, logistically, if everybody sat around a table and signed a document and then you had to swap documents really quick, all participants would still need to kind of see that document to sign and have it be legitimate, right? So same kind of concept goes here within our Docusign as well. If we're correcting envelopes, again, it'll go back to signer number 1, so everyone is able to see that new updated envelope document that they're signing. Can a document be edited after signed? Here's the thing. I'm not a compliance coordinator, so I would defer back to your principal reviewing broker. However, it's my understanding that all parties, when they're signing a document, a legal document, that all parties need to know that that's going to be the document that is legitimate, right? We can't switch any kind of things last minute after everybody's already signed, because at that point, who knows what they've put their initials on. But again, please reach out to your principal reviewing broker, as they should be your compliance coordinators. As we're taking a look over here, and this has been sent through, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and jump into my I'm going to jump back into my email right here. Again, Crystal, I would strongly encourage deferring back to your principal reviewing broker. I would hate to give you wrong information and have anything happen like bad, right? So again, they're the ones that have the expertise in what is in compliance and what's out of compliance. But as we're taking a look right here, it looked like my document already came through. So if we go ahead and take a look at this right here, this is what that document looks like when, oops, there we go. This is what my document looks like when somebody receives it, right? So when your clients receive a Docusign form, this is what it looks like right here. If we click on review documents, it'll say, please sign the document. This is the title, and description. But again, if you want to add up to, I believe, 1,000 characters, if you want to add a little bit more description on what they're signing, you can do so here. Since we chose not to, we didn't add anything here, so it's just kind of stock standard. If we click on review documents right here, again, this is from the point of view of signer number 1. So clicking on that right here, we're actually looking at this as signer number 1, your client number 1 that's signing. First, what they do is they agree and then continue right here. And then again, this is very similar to what we saw on that preview, where your signer is going to start off number 1. They're going to sign here. Even if they don't have a Docusign, it'll just allow them to be able to kind of adopt and sign. We can adjust this because as this is an optional section right here, it's not required, but we'll adjust this anyways. And then as there's nothing else on this document right here for us, because the date timestamp automatically appears when we sign this document, from this point onward, we can hit finish. So this is typically what your client would do right. Now, once your client hits finish right here, they don't need to sign up for Docusign. However, if they want to, they can. So again, just keep in mind, they don't need to sign up. But again, on the top right-hand corner, this is also where they can download that PDF that they just signed as well. So doesn't quite have everyone else's signatures, but at least they can download what they sign at that point in time. Now, once I'm going to hit no thanks right here because I'm not going to sign up for Docusign. It's going to say you've finished signing. And then when we go back to our envelopes right here, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this envelope. And this should say that now Scott Leroy, we're waiting on Scott Leroy to sign. So as you see, it says completed right here. And then now signer number 2 is currently the one that we're waiting on to complete this document. Once all signers have completed this document right here, you as the agent will receive a final copy. So again, keep in mind, you don't have to add yourself right here. All parties will receive a copy, as well as you as the buyer's agent, right? Or the seller's agent, you're going to receive that finalized copy via email as well. Or it would come back here, right? And then you can just view the signed document. What's cool about these signed documents is once they're signed, you should be able to see them appear within your documents section right here. So you have that ability to kind of come back here, as opposed to your form and your PDF. I believe it should have like a green object or a green checkbox. That's something indicating that this document has been signed. So it's a little bit easier to kind of view. Does the agent sign first or last? I would treat this as the timeline order of the document, right? So if the client needs to sign something first, and then the agent needs to initial afterwards, or the lender, or whoever is in this signing, I would treat it as if you're reading the document. Who needs the first initial? That's going to be signer number 1. Who's going to be the second person to look this over? That's going to be signer number 2, and so on. As we take a look at this over here, one last thing that I want to kind of address our attention is, again, if we click on this add button and we click on our Docusign forms right here, as we look through here, whatever forms we pull into our Docusign room will say in use right here. Now, if this is your first time jumping into Docusign, then if we take a look over here, there may be some sections that give you a no access like bar right here. And this doesn't allow us to be able to pull in these specific forms to our Docusign room right here. How we correct this is going to be a couple different things. So on the top right hand corner, if we go ahead and click on our name and then click on preferences, again, this has to be within the Docusign room side. Within our preferences, we have a section called integrations. And inside of integrations, you have your realtor board, and you have this section right here that says continue to company forms without validation. I've already selected continue to company forms without validation, which pulled in my market center forms. However, I have not yet pulled in my board forms. And again, that's what's preventing me from pulling in those documents to get filled out and signed. So again, as we take a look right here, if you still need to fill in your NRDS and your board association to get those documents, this will be how you do it. If you need help navigating this or connecting this, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to kind of help get that connected for you. And one last thing that I want to mention is, as we're taking a look at this right here, if I were to go to, say, for example, Docusign.com. If I were to go to Docusign.com and if I were to sign in to Docusign.com, you'll see that I have this black banner right here. This black banner is a great indication that you are signed into your KW branded Docusign account. If you sign into Docusign and this is a blue banner right here, or anything other than this black banner, chances are you are in an incompatible Docusign account, okay? So that's going to be pretty important. When we go to Docusign.com and we sign in, we're taken to this page right here. If we click on our name on the top right-hand corner, you should have an option that says switch to rooms right here. So kind of think of this as two sides of the same coin. The first side of the coin is going to be Docusign.com, which is your Docusign e-signature. The second side of the coin is going to be your Docusign rooms. It's going to be this right here. And whatever Docusign room we create, they just kind of have a list view and like a board view. So again, keep in mind, this is the second side of that coin right here, your Docusign rooms. If you sign into Docusign.com and you don't have a switch to rooms side right here, that is incompatible. So chances are that's only one side of one coin right there. Now, again, if you are having any issues getting this connected to your KW command, if you have any additional questions at all, I'm going to stay after a few extra minutes for any questions. But again, please reach out to us. We'd love to kind of help answer any additional questions you have. I'm going to save the rest of the content for our Docusign 201 class because we have a lot of great, cool additional resources to show you. So I'm going to leave that here for you today. I'm going to stick around for a few extra minutes. For those of you who are watching this video at a later date, thank you so much. Please reach out to us if you have any additional questions, and we'll be happy to hear from you.